Hey everyone, Z-Slayer Dre here, and today we have a kind of a surprise announcement that the PSP, PlayStation Vita, and PlayStation 3 stores will be closed. It looks like the PSP and PS3 will close on July 2nd, while the Vita store will stay open a little bit longer until August 27th. So we're going to talk today about what that means going forward. And before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I have a ton of new content coming out. So make sure you subscribe so you get to see it as soon as it comes out. So this isn't a surprising announcement. They have been slowly pulling back some of the PlayStation 3 features over the past 3 years. The first time I really noticed something was up was, so I've been collecting PlayStation 3 games over the past few years, and they would have these really good sales. And I noticed, and so what I would do is basically, get a game here or there. And unfortunately, a few months after I started doing that, they stopped doing the sales. It got me a little worried around then but it felt like this was before the PlayStation 5 was announced, so I thought it was strange. Obviously, there probably wasn't that many people buying games, even, I think this was 2019, I want to say, or maybe even 2018. So there probably wasn't that many people buying games even then, and they probably just don't want to bother planning out the sales. But it was disappointing for me because there's a lot of really great stuff on the PlayStation 3 store that we're actually going to go over in a little bit. But it was disappointing because I wanted to get, some games were digital only, or some games were much cheaper to buy digitally than physically. Especially some of the new copies for certain games are extremely expensive. After that, we saw them remove you can't message people from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 3. They removed the PlayStation 3 and Vita games from the PlayStation Store on the website and the app, so you can only get PlayStation 4 and 5 games. That was kind of like, I kind of felt like the nail was in the coffin there. I felt like it was only a matter of time. The thing is, I can maybe understand the PlayStation. I mean, the thing with the PSP is there was a lot sold. There was 81 million of those sold. And people with PlayStation, if you don't know, the PlayStation Vita community is actually kind of exploding. For whatever reason, it seems like Sony didn't really effectively market the PlayStation Vita, and there's so many people like me who found out about it years after they stopped, supporting it really, and God, it was an incredible system. If I had known about the PlayStation Vita back when it released, I would have loved it, because, I loved my 3DS. That was one of my main things I played, when that came out, but the PlayStation Vita, with that power it had when it came out, and the incredible selection of games, I would have absolutely loved it. Now, they have ported over a lot of the best games from the PlayStation Vita, but there are some that haven't. Like, I really want to play the Uncharted game on there, and then there's a few others. But I was actually looking on eBay to buy a PlayStation Vita, not kidding you, yesterday, and I am so glad I didn't buy one. I still want one. The thing is, some of the physical copies, even for used, are extremely expensive for the PlayStation Vita. So I was actually planning on shelling out for a memory card, which is really expensive, but probably getting most of my games digitally. I could do that, but the thing is, I can't afford to get. They don't. The memory cards don't come that. Even the biggest one wouldn't be able to hold probably all the games I wanted, and I'd have to buy them all now, and it'd be really expensive, and I just don't have the money to spend, unfortunately. I could still get one, obviously, and just do the physical copies, but I might hold off now because, again, they're shutting down the PlayStation 3 store, and there's still a lot of PlayStation 3 games I want to play. Now, what I wanted to talk about is the PlayStation 3 store has an incredible selection of older games, mainly PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 classics. There is a huge, I think it's over 100 games, and it's like 100 of the best PlayStation 1 and 2 games. There's obviously some stuff missing, but it is just an incredible collection. And some of these games, especially the PlayStation 1, JRPGs, are hundreds of dollars for the physical copies. So, and they're on the shop. For most of them are like $10. They used to go on sale for like $5 or less. I really wish I had gotten more on the sales. I did get some stuff. I got a bunch of the Final Fantasies and a few others that are actually pretty good. That's probably what I'm going to do, is I'm probably going to just go in there today and just, I'll I'm not going to buy everything I want because I can't go too crazy spending money, but I'll probably pick out maybe the top 4 or 5 that I really, really want. And the great thing about them is that they don't take too much space on your hard drive, and that is another problem where I don't have enough room to fit all the... I don't have a lot of digital games on the PlayStation 3, but there's too many to fit on my hard drive. So it's like, do I really want to spend the money on a hard drive so I can download everything? Now, they haven't said... So this isn't an official announcement. This was broken by The Gamer. And it's supposedly there is going to be an official announcement at the end of March, which is just a couple days away. Like I said, the writing has been on the wall. I usually don't report on rumors, but I really think this one is real. And even if this isn't... So even these dates, say these dates are wrong and this isn't real, is going to happen. It's going to happen soon. Like, they are going to shut it down. And that's kind of like the problem with buying games digitally. At some point, the service will shut down, or at least on consoles. It's a little different with Steam. Steam is a pretty safe one. I mean, yeah, it might eventually go down, but the thing is, so many people have so much money invested into their Steam library over the past, like, over a decade. They aren't going to let that place shut down. You know, something will be figured out if Steam isn't going out of business anytime soon. But with the consoles, when they keep releasing new ones, especially with the PlayStation 3 not having the backwards compatibility, that kind of killed the PlayStation 3. And I'm still pretty sore about them not doing that. There's no excuse for them not being able to do that on PlayStation 5. That really was really disappointing for me, not seeing that feature. And I think for a lot of people, I've really tried to do this stuff on PlayStation Now, but even with a fast internet connection, some of the games, it's just not a playable experience right now. Some were fine. Like, I've played some JRPGs, like Trails of Cold Steel. There was definitely some times where it looked like the picture would get, like, scrambled. Like, it was so bad with the lag. But it was a turn-based JRPG. Yeah, it wasn't the best experience playing it, but I still could get through it, you know. But with action games, I tried to play Red Dead Redemption. Oh, that was horrible. I remember one of the early missions, you have to do a horse race, and I remember it just kind of froze for a couple seconds, and then from a lag spike, and then I ended up in a ditch dead. And I was just like, and that wasn't the first time that it happened, and I was like, I can't do this. So I ended up buying the physical game. So I have bought in a lot of the physical copies that I do want. There's a few games, though, that I really want physical copies of, but they're really expensive now. And the prices, people, when they hear about this, physical copies are going to spike in price. Now, there are some games like Red Dead Redemption that they made tens of millions of copies of that are probably not going to be a problem. But it's going to be the same thing like always. Probably your JRPGs, those are probably going to be, or most like JRPGs, like a lot of like those Japanese games that have very low run counts for the American versions, or the NTSC or whatever it is, the North American region versions, they make very few copies of, especially like the Dynasty Warriors games, like a lot of the Koei Tecmo games, which I personally like. They make very, very small runs of the North American versions of those games. So the stock is very low. Games like that are probably going to go up in price. And a lot of other JRPGs by other companies. There's some random ones, like I think one of the Final Fantasy 13s is kind of hard to find. I forget which one, because there's 3 of them. I forget which one, but 2 of them are kind of easy to find. One of them is a bit more expensive, and I think I might actually buy that now because that price is going to go up. But there's some like random ones, like there's the Castlevania games that were really good. Castlevania Lords of Shadow. That is an incredibly underrated game, and it looks fantastic too. Now, I got it on PC for really cheap, and I kind of played through there, but I really wanted to get the PlayStation 3 version because I just like collecting PlayStation 3 games. For a new copy, I think the cheapest one is like $105. Like, insane. And there's other examples, like both of the Star Wars Force Unleashed games, especially the second one's a little bit cheaper, but the first one, if you want to get the Ultimate Sith Edition, it's like hundreds of dollars for a new copy. I'm sure you can get, even the used ones are pretty expensive though. I haven't checked in a while, and I'm not sure the DLC comes on disc. That's always the problem, because if the DLC comes on disc, I don't mind buying a used copy, but if a game has, where you have to do a DLC code, that is a problem. And I've actually run into some of them where the DLC codes have expired. I forget what game it was, but that has happened. Some of them, they don't. Some of them are good. Like, I got Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. All of the DLC is on disc, which is great. So The ones that have DLC on disc are fine, but you're going to run into problems with ones that don't have DLC on disc. So since there hasn't been an official announcement, the thing I'm wondering is, are they making it only so you can't purchase games, or are they actually making it so you both can't purchase games and you cannot download them anymore? Because that is two different things. Because if they make it so, I think this happened with the Wii recently, and people had to basically get hard drives or USBs or whatever and save their entire Wii library to the storage devices because they just couldn't download them anymore. So it's two different things. I'm hoping they just, I mean, I in a perfect world, I wish they would just leave up the store fully intact, but if they just make it so you can't purchase stuff, you still download stuff, that would make me more comfortable, because like I said, I don't really want to buy a new hard drive for it. I can't fit all of my games on it. So what I might do is, if they do say that, I'll probably just play through a few of the games that I really want, just to get it down to the point where I can fit everything on my hard drive. And like I said, but for those like PlayStation Classic games, they're not big, but I'm going to want to keep them on there because, the physical copies are just so expensive. Z-Slayer J here from the future. One thing I forgot to add in this video was to talk about DLC. One of the huge problems is that if you buy a physical copy and the DLC isn't on disc, you now won't be able to buy the DLC. Or some games, most do have, the complete edition or Game of the Year edition. Not all of them include DLC though, and some have DLC on disc, which is great, and in those cases it will be fine, but the ones that have download codes or just no DLC at all included with the game, you're not going to have access to the DLC or expansions. And that's a shame, because there actually were some good DLC on the PlayStation 3 for certain games. So just wanted to add that in there. It's a shame that we won't have access to that anymore. Alright, now we're back to the original video. So, and then the other thing is, I'm wondering about its trophy support. I don't think that will get affected because there's a lot of PlayStation 3 games on PlayStation Now, and I believe those run basically a PlayStation 3 remotely. So I would think they would keep up the trophy system. That is something I've worried about too, is at some point they are going to shut that off. It's really fun to go back to those old games and trophy hunt them. There's some really good games on the PlayStation 3 that I haven't played that I want to play through and platinum. I'm hoping I think that's going to stay up for the time being. Obviously, at some point it will shut down. So I think I'm going to try and mix in a PlayStation 3 game here and there on my Journey to the Platinum Trophy videos, just because I don't want to get into the situation where you actually can't platinum because they just shut down the trophy system. I think that will be hopefully a few more. I mean, as long as they have the PlayStation 3 games on PlayStation Now, I don't see why it would shut down. I would imagine they're using the same server for that. And like, how much money does it really cost for them to keep that up too? And it keeps an interest in the system, and people buying, getting into the PlayStation ecosystem and keep buying PlayStation stuff. So I don't see, it wouldn't really benefit them to shut that down. So, but there's really, the PlayStation Vita, it's a shame. I think that was such a great system. I mean, I thought about buying just for remote play. Seems pretty awesome, especially with like the PlayStation 3 games. I would love to just do remote play with that. Well, I might get one. They're really expensive now, though. Even for a used one, they're a little bit more than I want to pay. And if you are interested in a PlayStation Vita or PSP, buy it now, because as expensive as they have gotten, they're just going to get more and more expensive. So, especially with this, once this news starts spreading, even if it ends up being false, which again, if it is false, it's going to happen sometime soon. Like, there's no question about it. They're going to take down that store. So, it's a discussion for another video, and a full video I would like to do on ownership in the digital age, is what happens when these systems shut down. You lose games that you bought and paid for. And obviously there's, physical copies aren't perfect. They can get lost. They can break. There's wear and tear on the disc. Eventually it might not work. It's a little different with a PlayStation 4. I think it doesn't actually read from the disc. Once it installs, you do need it in there. It just checks that it's there. Even if it gets really worn out, I'm not sure how much of a problem it is for the PlayStation 4. PlayStation 3, I know some games installed to the hard drive. I'm not really sure how that works. There is, obviously there's problems either way, but the physical stuff is going to last for, decades, where the store, you don't really know how long it's going to be up. So it is a topic I think we need to start talking about more, especially with the push to things like Game Pass, which I think is a very good thing overall, but not owning your stuff, it's a problem, and that is what they're pushing us to, especially once it becomes, Game Pass is one thing. You actually have your save games on there, and from what I've heard, you can actually transfer the save games to Steam if you end up buying the game, which is great. But once it goes to full streaming, like Stadia was trying to do, then you run into a real problem where you don't have actual access to your save games, But again, like I said, a discussion for another video, but it's something that I think we all need to start talking about. So let me know down in the comments how you feel about this. Are you one of the people that, it looks like there's been the PlayStation Vita has been basically revitalized lately. Are you one of the people that just bought a PlayStation Vita? Does this affect you, or even a PSP? Because if all these stores are shut down, obviously you may potentially lose access to your digital libraries. And if you don't have a large, memory card, which for the PlayStation, I don't know what the prices are for the PlayStation PSP, but the PlayStation Vita, the memory cards are insanely, you used to be able to buy them on Amazon a few months ago. They're gone now, and even those were ridiculously expensive, even for the really small ones. Granted, the games are smaller on the PlayStation Vita and the PSP, but if you have a bunch of games, obviously it's going to fill up. And as far as PlayStation 3 goes, are you going to run out and buy a hard drive and just buy a bunch of games on the PlayStation 3 store and just download them to it? Which is something, like I said, I might be doing. I'm not going to overboard because I have so many other games to play, and I wanted to mix in the PlayStation 3 stuff here and there, and now it's like I might have to start doing those a little bit sooner than I expected, at least for my videos. So, let me know how you feel about all that. And as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you're subscribed, like the video. Doing both really helps the channel. I have some, like I said, I have some really good trophy hunting videos coming up soon. I'm working hard at work on them now. I'm almost done with one of them. And I have actually a big review coming out, surprise review, so I cannot wait to do that one. And obviously there's Monster Hunter Rise and Outriders coming out soon, so I will be reviewing those. Obviously I don't get early review copies yet, so they'll be coming out, probably like a week or so after, depending on how long. I know the Monster Hunter games are really long, so it might be a little over a week after it comes out, but, I'll be trying to get through it as fast as possible. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video.